Lorna Flanagan is from Portadown. Her motto is, writing is fun, whether poem or pun, whether 10 lines or one, it's great when it's done. Yeah. Lorna is reading Uncle Dan.
Yeah, you may have gathered my approach to writing is very simple. So, Uncle Dan. It was Jake's bedtime. Mum and Dad must have forgotten. Hearing their hushed voices in the kitchen, he carried on playing with his Lego. Dad had received a phone call earlier. Finally, Mum came to tell Jake to put away his toys. Her face had an earnest look. She went upstairs with him, but instead of getting him ready for bed, she took his travel bag out of the wardrobe. Jake, we're all going away for a few days. On holiday? No, it's not a holiday. We're leaving tonight. Tonight? Before we go to bed? Where are we going? To Uncle Dan's house. Jake breathed in quickly, his eyes lit up. Can we see his new paintings? Can I take my owl to show him? Mum looked puzzled. Your owl? You know, the picture I did at school. Jake had never seen a real owl, but Uncle Dan would tell him if he got the colours right. Mum hugged him. I'm afraid Uncle Dan's not very well. He may not want to look at pictures. Jake was crestfallen. Take some toys that you can play with on your own. Mum's voice sounded quiet and serious. As you know, it's a long way, so we'll drive through the night. Soon they were in the car and Dad drove into the dark. Dad, aren't you tired? How will you stay awake all night? Don't worry, Mum and I will take it in turns to drive. You go to sleep if you want to. Dad's thoughts seemed to be somewhere else. Jake had never before set out on a journey at night. Through the space between the two front seats, he stared at the blackness ahead. Ghostly white tree trunks leapt at the windscreen from nowhere. Jake was glad when the car joined the motorway. He settled into the back seat and rested his head on the pillow. He put his hand under the pillow to find Betty, the black plastic bat with floppy wings that Uncle Dan had given him. Jake had decided Betty should come because he knew Uncle Dan would want to see her again. He and Jake had had great fun sending her through the air, getting her to land in the funniest places. Once she landed on the dinner table and Uncle Dan scolded her and told her not to do it again. And she didn't. She flew like a real bat, though Jake knew living bats were soft, furry little creatures, not smooth and plastic. He and Betty snuggled into the sleeping bag and fell asleep. When Jake woke up, Mum was driving and Dad dozed in the front passenger seat. From the window on his left, Jake noticed that the black sky had turned dark blue. Navy church spires stood out against it like cardboard cutouts. Everything looked strange and yet familiar. He shuddered and wriggled back down into his sleeping bag, but he couldn't get rid of the inner coldness he felt. He looked for Betty. She had fallen down into the bottom of the sleeping bag. He told her to look out and told her to look through the window on the right. High up in the sky, a long trail of pinkish grey frothy clouds floated parallel to the horizon against the dark blue. Lower down, near the skyline, a see-through film of mauve mingled with bright orange from below. Then the deep orange sun emerged at the bottom of the sky. The bright orange wash spread, getting lighter and paler and melting into the mauve. Above, the grey disappeared from the clouds and the pink became almost white. In between, the deep blue brightened into daylight. The deep orange sun quickly changed to its usual winter pale. Jake had never seen anything like it. Magnificent, like looking up into heaven. The car turned right at the crossroads near Uncle Dan's home. When they arrived at the house, Dad told Jake to stay in the car for a few minutes. A nurse came to the front door and spoke to Mum and Dad. She looked sombre. Dad went inside with the nurse. Mum came back to the car. She got in and sat beside Jake on the back seat. "Jake, I'm afraid I have some sad news." "I know," he said. He was thinking that although he and Mum and Dad felt sad, Uncle Dan, a true artist right up until the moment of his death, had a splendidly colourful way of saying goodbye.